Well, hello there and welcome to the fabulous show. I'm your host this week, Joy Willett, and I am thrilled to have you join us because this week we have a incredible lineup of guests who are going to be sharing with all of us their one word going into 2025, our new year right around the corner. So, are you curious and are you ready? I am. So let's talk. Well, hello there. Hi to my amazing group of friends, colleagues, and guests today. And I am so thrilled that we are going to have you share your one word going into 2025. This is so incredibly fun. So I'm going to ask you to just share your name and where you're beaming in from today. Let's start with you, Dorina.
Hey there, Dorina Lanza, Palm Beach, Florida.
Yamilca.
I am in Louisville, Kentucky.
Thank you. And Sid? Sid, are you muted? There you are.
Yes, Sid McNairy, Jacksonville Beach, Florida. Thank you.
Wonderful. And Justin?
Justin Rice from Atlanta, Georgia.
Great. Well, are you guys excited? I am. I mean, this is really our last Sunday show for 2024, and you have graciously accepted to come on and share your one word, whatever that means, right? Your word that you've thought of for 2025. So I'm going to start with our first guest.
My name is Yamilca Rodriguez, and my word for 2025 is identity. I'm going to tell you why identity is so critical to me. I feel like a lot of times we don't understand who we really are. We don't go to the core or the foundation, what I call the soul code of your identity. So really looking into that for myself as I go into 2025, because that's the only way I feel we can connect to the broader community at large, right? How do we then look at that soul code to then identify who we are as individuals of a broader community? I feel like identity really is about an exploration of who you are, what your values are, what you really love to do and what you want to do in the future, to then be able to have an impact and a legacy to live to other people. So that is my word for 2025, identity.
Wow, that is amazing, Yamilca. And so what I'm going to do is bring you up here and share with us some more about identity and this soul code. You have me and all of us very intrigued.
Yes. So I've been studying psychology and archetypes for a long time. And as I decided to do my PhD 2 years ago, I am starting my dissertation actually January of 2025. Woo. And so I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do for that. And as I really kind of dove deep into what that meant, identity came to me. Actually, it came to me at a museum. And I was like, how do we deconstruct identity? And how do we then look at ourselves as part of an individual force, but also as part of a community or a broader, as we call, spiritually one, right? So it's been a very interesting journey. I've already started kind of asking questions and talking to people about what they think identity is. And it's been really, really intriguing because identity, as we think about it, is like we think about it as a human thing, like only humans have identity. But what happens when we think about, the financial structure or an object? Do they have identity? Do they not have identity? So what I'm really looking forward in 2025 is to really ask interesting questions, talk to people about what that means to them, and get to the core. And this word soul code, really get to that spiritual or inner essence that sometimes we don't either like to go there or explore it, but really find out what that means for us individually.
Wow, that is going to be so interesting to follow you and to keep up with you as you do this, Yamilca, for your dissertation, and how cool. However, I have one question for you. What does soul code mean to you? And what is your soul code?
Ooh, that's a very good question. So for me, soul code means something that we feel and we understand, but sometimes there's no words to explain. It's kind of like a discovery of who you are from a true foundation or at its actual core. Like if we think of the earth, what is that center of the earth like? And how do we go to that center for ourselves? So that's really what the soul code means to me.
I love that. I love that. This is going to be so interesting. And I have a feeling that this is also what you've just talked about is going to get a lot of our audience, whether they're listening to us live or on the replay, thinking about identity, right? Identity. I love that. That is really, we're going to come back around to that again. So I'm going to bring you back into the group here, but that is so cool. I'm very intrigued. And I know we are going to be, I've got to bring Dorina back up onto the stage. There she is. Hi, Dorina. You've come back.
All of a sudden the screen went blank. I'm like, oh,
well, there you go. And you came back on, and we're real happy about that for sure.
It's the magic of Christmas.
Yeah,
It's the magic.
Mercury's
Exactly.
no longer retrograde, right?
So let's bring on our next guest, and we're going to play his video.
Hello, everyone. It's Justin Rice here, and Happy New Year to you all, and happy holidays. My word for the year of 2025 and intention for the year is the word service. How can I be of service to those who are in front of me and to the world? When we are living from our hearts, when we are living from a state of wholeness, all we want to do is give and be of service to the world. So this year, I'm setting the intention of being in service for humanity in whatever way that can be in the moment. As we are in the moment, we can simply ask ourselves, how can I be of service? And allow the answers to come to us. So join me this year in 2025 and be of service to humanity. Thank you again for having me, and I look forward to this conversation.
Wow, Justin, that is definitely inspirational. And we're going to bring you up now. This is how we get to change everyone up here. And wow, service. Okay, that is all encompassing, isn't it? So tell us more about what you mean personally. Service.
Service, yes. So I really think when we begin to open up our hearts, we really just want to give from that level of consciousness. So when we're in the moment, we all have great skills and knowledge and information within us, and really asking the question of how can we serve the person in front of us or serve a greater cause really fulfills our souls and our heart's desires. Many of us were searching for things outside of us to create that fulfillment. And I believe when we're living in service, when we're living in that state of mind and heart, we're really living from a full cup, and we're able to begin pouring it outward and changing the world in some way. So that's my word for the year. 2025 is of service. Be of service.
Well, that is beautiful. And everyone that does know you knows that that is how you do truly live your life. However, you said something, when you live from a full cup. So when you're giving out, do you have a full cup, or does it empty out? And how does it refill?
Yes. Well, I think it's taking time for the self, taking time for your heart, your soul, your energy, replenishing it, because we do get depleted, if we're constantly giving, eventually, we deplete, and it's important to take time in the mornings, evenings, throughout the day to check in with ourselves, to be honest with ourselves about our energy, and to begin replenishing it through meditation or some type of practice that feels great for you to re-energize again.
Well, I know that meditation is a big part of who you are and how you live your life. And I also know that you're also in the public eye a lot. So how do you balance that? How do you balance that?
Well, it's remembering who we are at the core essence, right? That we all are energy having a human experience. So in the moment, if I am amongst a lot of people and a lot of, there's a lot of attention and energy being drawn, and people want your attention and energy, to just remember that you are energy, and that bubble that you are within your heart and all around you, you can connect to that and be present with that life force that's within us and around us. So when I am amongst crowds of people, just protecting and being within myself, and that bubble and that light that we have and that love. So remembering that in the moment.
I think that's super good advice and really powerful advice, Justin, because, I don't know if our audience knows, but you are on the big screen as an actor. And so talk about lots of people. I mean, I can't even imagine all of the groups of people around you. And yet you still choose, it's choice, isn't it, to take that time and use the practices and the tools that you have acquired and taken the time to learn. I love that. I'm going to play something here. A lot of times when we have the show, I see a lot of purple hearts come up, and part of it is to remind us to remember those who are not with us, especially one person. But I feel inspired to play this right now so we can reset, thinking about those that have gone on before us with great love. That was for our Purple Hearts Club. And there you go. We've got Gloria putting up those hearts. And we remember, and Tamra. We remember those, especially a lot of us, we have loved ones that maybe are not even going into 2025 this year. And we remember them with great love and gratitude, and knowing that we carry on. So I'm going to have another guest come up. We're going to play her video, and I think this is really, really a fun.
Hi, my name is Dorina Lanza, and my word for the year 2025 is rebirth. I believe staying stuck isn't your destiny. Rebirth isn't about starting over. It's about rising stronger, bolder, and more brilliant than ever before. It's about looking at the ashes of everything that's held you back and deciding, this ends here. This is where I rise. Rebirth isn't for the faint of heart. It's for those who refuse to settle. It's for those ready to stop making excuses, stop playing small, and finally own the power they were born with. To rise fully, you need 3 things. Be brilliant. I believe the light within you deserves to be seen. Your brilliance has been diminished, but never extinguished. Now's the time to let it shine so brightly the world can't ignore you. Be the master, because good enough isn't good enough. Mastery is the relentless pursuit of becoming undeniable. It's about turning your potential into power and your skills into something the world pays attention to. Be bold. You deserve to claim your space and make no apologies for who you are. Boldness is the fire that turns your dreams into decisions and your decisions into reality. I envision a world where you don't just rise, you dominate, because your legacy matters. The phoenix doesn't wait. It doesn't ask for permission. It rises because it must. So here's the real question. Will you stay in the ashes, or are you ready to rise now? This isn't a metaphor. It's your life. Decide.
Wow, that is something else, Dorina. And let's bring you now into the spotlight. Wow, rebirth and all of those flames and rising out of the ashes. Tell us a little bit about why you chose that word, Dorina.
Well, I chose it because I'd come up with a bunch of other words. I'd come up with bold. I'd come up with, masterful, mastering. I came up with brilliant. I came up with bewitching. I came up with a bunch of others. And I realized that, rebirth really kind of covered all of it. And I realized that that was particularly applicable to me, having just gone through a process of, I'm not sure what the right word is, but overcoming, I guess, stage 3 breast cancer. Almost finished the treatment. I then had a stroke. I had a bunch of other stuff happen. And I said, wow, if not now, when else am I going to do rebirth, right? And so that's kind of what confirms the word. I'd come up with it, but then I looked and said, oh, gee, I guess it's really applicable in this case. And then I realized it's not just the word for this year. It's actually what I do. I get my clients to undergo a process of rebirth where they do everything I said in the video. Basically, emerge, either they stay stuck or they finally decide, okay, I've had enough. This is the way it's going to be. I'm not doing this anymore. Realizing that they've got to master what it is that they're doing, and they deserve to be brilliant, and they deserve to be bold, and they can do it. So that's kind of, the logic behind, if there was a logic. I guess it was more emotion than logic.
Right. Of course. And yes, you've been through quite a lot. And I know it's said that we teach what we know, or we teach what we also have been through. So tell us a little bit about how you experienced your rebirth, because certainly no one is ever the same. However, for you, I know you personally, and you have been on quite the journey, and here you are, and you are definitely the phoenix out of the ashes of this past year and a half, aren't you? So what's your secret?
Well, my secret really is twofold. And you say I've changed. People say, oh, you're completely different, but I can't tell, which is interesting to me. It's like, I don't know, I feel pretty much the same, right? What really got me to come to the point where I am right now, one of the things that I had been struggling with was really understanding what I could do that nobody else could, what I could do for people that nobody else is able to, and finally be able to articulate it in such a way that I actually understand it. Because I always used to think, well, I've got to do stuff. I've got to teach them how to do something, right? And then I realized that that's not where my value actually lies. My value lies more in just being and shining the light on other people, inspiring them into greatness that's already hidden in there, but they don't believe it. And I finally got to the point where I could understand and begin to articulate that process so that now I can explain it to people better than I just did. But
No, I love that, because it's almost, when a person has gone through what you've been through, you have to dig in real deep, don't you, to find who you are, so that, and your light and your brilliance, so that you can help shine that on yourself. So then therefore you can be that beautiful example and teacher and master. But first we have to do it ourselves, right? I mean, right?
well, I had been doing it. I've been doing this type of work for decades, getting people to go deep to figure out who they really are, showing up as the person that they really are, so they would become the attractors of people, attracting their ideal people, and so on. But I understood it more at a neocortex level. Now I get it at a completely visceral level. So all of a sudden it's become kind of like an explosion and everything is shifted.
I love that. I love that. That's what I was looking for, was that, because I knew there was one extra final piece to have that, to light that flame.
Logically it was there.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden you had, well, I used to be a rocket scientist, so I'm going to say, all of a sudden we had ignition.
That's right. I love that. And yes, you are a woman you are a wonderful, amazing Renaissance woman. And each of you here have so many gifts and so many experiences in your own life that add to. So we're going to get into a round table pretty soon, but we still have another person that we are going to share. Yes, Mr. Sid, and here's your video.
My word for 2025 is intent. It's intent because I want to make sure that I have the right intention in everything that I do. Intention leads to what is coming forward in the future. So I know this, and I'm Sid McNairy, and my word, again, is intent. I know that by setting the right intent with every day that I come into, I am going to bring forward a space of peace in my life and anybody that I interact with. What is your intent? May you find that your intent leads you to the life of your dreams. That's what we work on. I'm the secret weapon of my life. You're the secret weapon of your life. Let's continue to move forward in that way. Keep the intent and let's light it up together. Peace.
Wow. Secret weapon. Okay, so I'm going to bring you now into the spotlight, Sid. And tell us more. Tell us more. We're all ears and hearts.
Joy, we go back. So that my native name and my commitment in this life is to bring peace. He who brings peace is my native name. And so that's been my intention since 2010. Mm-hmm. Yet there were many times that I wasn't sure, or I had to set goals to live into the year to come. And now, having been on this path for so long and having been honored in the world in that way, my intent needs to be there all the time. And so when I look at what's coming for me in 2025, it's walking into it no matter where I am. We went to breakfast today. and Coach Buddy from the Dallas Cowboys was there, and he and I were talking with my wife Liz, and just in that moment, the intention of holding the space together with all of us led to so many things that we, inked in the future of what's to come. And I think that's it. Wherever I am is my destiny. And I want to live that in a way that is intentional all the time. That, no matter what it is that I'm doing, whether I'm with my children or with friends or on a show, my intent needs to show up all the time.
Wow, that's powerful, Sid. Yes, and it's almost like some people are just finding that flame of who they are or rediscovering it, and some people have that torch that they carry, like you said, that it's there. It's just there you are, and so wherever you go, that intent and that vibration, that frequency of who you are as the world ambassador for peace that you just received an award for. And you could tell us a little bit about that. But this is powerful because when you have that intent, but did you always have that? How did you find it?
I mean, I've had that knowing of wanting peace, right? Like, which I think most people in their life, when there isn't peace, we know we want something different, which is wanting peace. And so I've known that since I was 3 years old and returned to the light and all those things that happened along my journey. And yet what I'll say is that even though I knew that's what I wanted, it still wasn't my intent all the time, everywhere I went. And so there were times that I would lose that and lose sight of that. And what it did with going to get that award in Sweden and picking it up and the whole journey to go into the building where they present the Nobel Prize, right? To go in that and not even know about the award, but to be humbled by the experience, to have monks across the world say, yeah, we know who you are. It's like, wait, people are watching on that level. So when I came back, there was just a whole nother journey that had to start. And now I look at it totally different. Before it was something that I wanted to do or I wanted to step into. And not that it was all about me. I mean, with the people that I've helped to shift things in their life, it wasn't about me, but it still was kind of this looking of what is it for me in a sense. And so I've learned that in this space of where I am, it's not about me at all. And that, like Justin talked about being of service, it's not about me, no matter what. And so when I walk into a space, what's my intent that allows me to actually truly be there of service for other people and to step into that place?
I love that. That is, this is powerful medicine, as we would say, with each of you. And Sid, you are, it's an honor, true honor to know you as a dear friend. And what I'm going to bring you back here because we're also going to get into group bantering and flow. But what I'm noticing is that the words that each of you have chosen all flow together like beautiful beads on a necklace. We have intent, right? The intention of being who you are, as I'm paraphrasing Sid, and also the soul code, the identity, having that identity and knowing where you want to go with this and knowing it's just who you are now. It's beyond the I, the small I, and then flowing into service as Justin has talked about, serving humanity, serving oneself. And then Dorina with rebirth, that finding that flame that of our soul so that we can light up that world. So I'm going to play a really beautiful song here that one of our show's beautiful soul here. And we're going to listen to this because this kind of is going to also weave in, because we're in a legacy series here on this show. And each of you are talking about going forward with your legacy for 2025. It's each of your legacy, isn't it?
In the quiet moments, when the sun begins to rise, we find the strength within us. In the stories of our lives, not in gold or glory, but in hearts we've touched with grace, in the love we share with others, in each kind and gentle face. Your legacy is the love you leave behind, in the hands you've held and the souls you've helped to find. It's the laughter in the children, the wisdom in the old. It's the light you sparked in others, in the stories that are told. Through the trials and the triumphs, in the battles that we fight, it's the courage and the kindness that will always shine so bright. In the lessons that we teach and the dreams that we inspire, in the way we lift each other higher and higher. Your legacy is the love you leave behind, in the hands you've held and the souls you've helped to find. It's the laughter in the children, the wisdom in the old. It's the light you sparked in others, in the stories that are told. In the final song you sung, and the curtains drawing near, it's the moments filled with love that will echo year to year. In the footprints on the path that guide the lost and blind, your legacy will live on in the hearts you've left behind. Your legacy is the love you leave behind, in the hands you've held, the souls you've helped to find. It's the laughter in the children, the wisdom in the old. It's the light you sparked in others, in the stories that are told. So let's live with open hearts and give with all our might, for the legacy we leave is a beacon in the night, in the echoes of our actions, in the whispers of the wind. Our legacy of love is where it all begins. Our legacy of love is where it all begins.
Your legacy will live on in the hearts you've left behind.
Wow, that song always touches us, doesn't it? It's there's so many beautiful messages in there. Yes, I agree, Gloria. My favorite song of 2024. It's just absolutely stunning. And so, with that, and your words and what you've spoken about, or maybe not spoken about yet, I'm going to ask each of you to share more, and then we'll have that round, and then you can, flow off of each other too. Yamilca, I'm going to ask you to come up first. I'm going to bring you into the spotlight here. And what's on your heart right now?
That song actually reminded me of, it's about leaving love behind, not just things that you do or that you're an expert at, but it's more about leaving your soul or your actual being on this earth and then going on to the next life that you have. So that's kind of what kind of came to me as I was meditating on what legacy is to me.
That's beautiful, and it does tie into what your word is for 2025 in terms of identity and soul codes. So maybe just share a little bit more on that.
Yeah. So one of the things that I was contemplating, one of the things that I wanted to do is think about poetry or poetic intelligence as part of defining identity as well. We look at different pieces as we think about our identity. There's visuals, right? Style, but there's also words, and words have a lot of meaning. As you know, Joy, yourself. And so, how do we think about poetic intelligence to discover that soul code? And one of the things that I was thinking is trying to do some poetry every single day, just for 5 minutes, to find out what's truly there in that soul and that identity that I'm really trying to discover and play with and explore, and see what comes up as we kind of go inward versus outward.
I like that. I like that. I'm looking forward to what you're going to be creating coming forward. And yes, taking pen and paper and seeing what comes out, right, Yamilca?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Who wants to go next? Who wants to flow off of that?
I mean, I can.
Okay. All right.
I definitely love that the space of what Yamilca was talking about, and how it lands for me is in the space of the video we just watched. Is at one point I wrote my own obituary. You know, you can find it on my website, and it's people have talked about in my past of you die twice. You die the first time when you leave this body. You die again when people say your name for the last time. And my legacy really will reside in that. You know, I'm fortunate my son's name with my name, and he's already followed in my footsteps in so many ways. So I know it'll at least continue through that, right? Like people talking, say my name, it's my grandfather gets to hear it until I'm gone. And now it's my son, and all the things that I've learned from my grandfather, from my dad, that I'll pass to my son is actually the legacy that is being woven between all of us. And so that's really how it shows up for me. I'm blessed that I get to look at my dad and say, okay, the way I'm being as a son is how my son gets to see me be with my dad and how my son can be. And then when I turn and look the other way and I'm like, oh, this is how I'm parenting my son, my father can actually learn and say, oh, that's how I could parent my son. So I get to see that bouncing not only in real time, but I get to see it in our namesake. And so that part of legacy for me is huge. And I loved how the song said, courage and kindness that will always shine so bright. And that is how it shows up. You know, I've had to have the courage to parent in those moments that I didn't really want to say anything, or, you know, and to be kind in the moments where I felt like kindness wasn't there. And I think that's such a great space to be holding in this moment.
I love this, Sid. I love this conversation. And certainly you bring intent into everything that I see, and I'm sure many see, that you have that intention of consciousness wherever you are. It's so beautiful. And Skip is talking. Yeah, Skip, who wrote the song and played it and directed it. He says, yes, Sid, I did a session for days that was writing my own obituary and being present, lying down in front of those who had words to add to my legacy. How cool is that? How cool is that, right? And I'm going to bring you back here. Yes, the generational patterns of love explained through our names. Tamara says, beautiful, Sid. Ah, my goodness. So I'm going to bring up Dorina here because sometimes, well, Dorina, I'm going to have you flow off of what Sid just brought up, and in your own way, how you interpret that or how you are rebirthing yourself with all of this yourself. Thank you.
Well, there are people out there who are like Ebenezer Scrooge, but they never learn. And then they depart. And the people that were supposed to be the closest remember them very badly. What awful people they were. And I realized I don't want to be one of those people. When I'm gone, I want people to say amazing things about me, how incredible I was, how generous I was, how loving I was, how they miss me, instead of, oh God, what miserable people. It's like, do they realize how absolutely awful they have been and all that? And listening to the song was difficult for me. Because it is all about the love you leave behind. And I'm wondering how it must feel. I don't know. I mean, they're not here to feel, but how it must feel to look back, if that's what actually happens, and realize, wow, I was a real, I'll be polite, we're being recorded, right?
We're on live on TV.
I was not as good a person as I could have been. Is that a good enough euphemism?
That was beautiful.
Anyway, so yeah, the song is absolutely right, and it just struck me that, wow, I refuse to be like them. Yeah. I will not be like them, and that I think has also contributed a great deal to the whole rebirth thing, because I realized that chapter's done, over, period. Now it's time to flourish again.
There we go. I love that, Dorina. And yes, there is a reason why I brought you up too, because not everybody, and thank you for sharing your tears with all of us. We usually say, everyone have your Kleenexes ready, or a box of Kleenex, because we do have our hearts here that get shared, because not everyone has had a beautiful experience with their family members or those that were there to care for them. Not everybody does. So thank you. And yes, we get to make that choice. We get to have that intent. We get to follow our own soul codes. We get to rebirth ourselves. And then we get to also follow along. And I'm going to bring up Justin now to flow with this conversation. And what say you, my dear Justin?
What say you? So, when Sid was speaking, it really became apparent to me, the quote of "be the change you wish to see in this world," right? So, Sid is having this multi-dimensional experience where, he's witnessing his father him, but then also see the changes that he makes impact his son as well. And this really goes into the word, my word for this year of service, because if we want to see a world of saints and healers and a world of love and light, we can't expect anything that we haven't become, right? So a great question that I've heard from a teacher that I listen to is, what would love do? So what would love do in this moment? And it's a pretty profound question to ask, and it requires a lot of soul searching and opening up the heart and recognizing that there are parts of us that are not loving and they have to die. So talking about rebirth, that we do have to die. Our old self has to die. Any part of us that is not loving has to go away, and it has to be burnt. It has to be inflamed. The phoenix has to rise again. So when we are, we all fall from grace, right, Dorina? We all, sometimes make mistakes, say things that hurt other people, and having the humbleness and the humility to reflect upon that and recognize that we can make changes, that it's okay, that we have another day. Tomorrow's a new day for us to begin anew, to rebirth ourselves. So really asking, okay, reflecting on our day, was I loving in all of these moments? And if I wasn't, that's okay. I love myself anyway, but I'm willing to evolve and adapt. So something that really came up for me is, if we really want to see this world change, it's going to require all of us to be that way. And ideally, we are loving towards each other. Ideally, we are serving one another. We're seeing the light and the love that's within us and every single person. And no matter who the person is, whether they're the janitor or they're the CEO of the company, whatever it may be, you treat that person in front of you like they are a divine being, like they are. You honor, respect them, and ideally try to serve them with whatever you feel is called for in the moment. So that's what comes to mind here, Joy.
Oh, I love that. That's so beautiful. And all of you are beautiful. This whole discussion of intention, of service, of rebirth, and the phoenix from the ashes, burning that which is no longer needed, and rising up, beautiful, bold, and brilliant, and then also following our soul code. My goodness sakes, this is amazing. Yes, as Tamara's saying, we're all service heroes, and we all have a service hero inside. And everyone that we do meet, as you were saying, Justin, and each of you saying, that we have that opportunity to see the God in them, the divine in them, that they are a perfect child of God, even in their imperfectness, because we are imperfect too, right? So last thoughts right now, as we're, we've got a few more minutes here, each of you, and I'd like you to share who wants to go first, tagging off of this. Yes,
I'll jump in just because it's sitting on my heart. And
okay.
And first, I'm gonna touch on this perfect and imperfection, because it's something that I absolutely know that I am perfect, and every moment that has ever happened to me was perfectly designed. For me, my intention of even sharing that this year is to awaken the space of us being arrogant humans to think that God made a mistake in any moment that we ever faced. So therefore, everything is perfect. And by me allowing it to be perfect, then I get to embrace perfection all the time, in every moment. And so and in that looking, for me, when I look at others, I recognize that the only way I see it in any way, whether I see anger or pain or guilt or shame or any of the things that I may see, I'm the one seeing it. If someone else sees it, they may actually see it differently than what I see. So all I have to do is shift it in here, whatever that may be. And so for me, that's why I go back to my word being intent, because I want to see peace. I want to see love. I want to see all the things that I could see out of anyone that I'm looking at. And it starts with me.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you, Sid. Beautifully expressed and taken to heart by everyone here. Thank you, sir. Who wants to go next? Justin, are you ready to go next?
I'm ready.
You're ready. I'm feeling Justin ready to pop in here for some final moments. Yay.
So what comes to mind for the new year, right? Talking about the world changing and being the change that I know that there's a potential for this world to be more heavenly. I know without a doubt I've been in too many moments where it was very clear to me that heaven is on earth, that it's not something that we die and get to, that it's a place, it's a potential that is here right now for us to create. And it really takes the willingness and the courage for all of us to create it here, to be courageous enough to say, this world here, I'm leaving that behind, but I'm going to design something new and greater. And I believe that it starts with each of us. Like you mentioned, Sid, it requires each of us to open up and have that new lens and that new perspective that, my gosh, we are living in heaven right now. And the more of us that do that, the more of us that begin observing that reality, the observer effect is very profound and powerful in that our brains are constantly constructing reality. So the more of us, I don't know what the exact number of it is, but the more of us that become attuned to this potential, the more it becomes a possibility for it to collapse in reality. So it does require each of us to begin seeing and observing that new world together. So
Perfect. Absolutely perfect, too. Yay. Yes, the power of our collective and individual focus, thoughts, observations, and feelings. We affect and create everything, don't we? Dorina, we are going to bring you up now, and then we'll have Yamilca. Final thoughts, and this is just how it plays when I shift you around here.
Okay.
Final thoughts. Final thoughts.
Bouncing around a little bit. Well, first of all, I want to say that it has been proven that there is no objective reality. Also, there is no such thing as objective time, but I won't bore you with the mathematics. And so you see what you expect. And I won't get into the whole dissertation because we'll be here for another week. But anyway, one thing I would urge people to do is to really run a Dickens pattern on yourself. Take yourself through the A Christmas Carol process, your past, your present, and your future. And if you don't like what you see going forward and experience it so viscerally, if you don't like it and you experience it deeply enough, you will do anything to change. And guess what? Your reality will change around you because it's all your perception. You shift, and what you see is going to shift also. So that's one of the things that I like to get people to consider, because they don't really think about the implications of continuing the way they're going. And if they do and really immerse themselves, that will facilitate a shift in their way of being, which will manifest and show up as them behaving differently and getting different results. Everybody being happier, feeling better, being nicer to each other, spreading love, whatever term you want to use. And the more people that do that, the better off we'll all be.
I love that, Dorina. A Dickens method. It's an old NLP method, actually, and
pattern. That's right.
Yeah, very, very old. But it works. It works, especially for folks. You betcha. All right, I'm going to bring you up, Yamilca. Final thoughts. We've just got a minute or so left here.
Yes. So for me is seeing the unseen. One of the reasons why I love this word identity that I've been exploring in the last 6 months is because I think there's things that we are afraid to share or afraid for other people to see within ourselves. And it's liberating. It's about liberating us, being free to be who we are. right? And so I think exploring that identity at a deep level really helps you share your soul code with others and create infinite possibilities. So those are my last words for the new year.
I love it. Ending on a wondrously positive, beautiful thoughts here from all of you. And there's one, I'm just going to play this. I've never played this before. It looks like it's brand new, so let's watch it together. I had to play that, and it did have about the one word, which is our show here as we are going into the new year. And so thank you, everyone, Sid, Dorina, Justin, and Yamilca, for joining me and taking time out of your holiday, holy days, 12 nights of Christmas, whatever we are all celebrating as we intend going forward into 2025. We will be having a New Year's Eve show for the Fab Show, which will be a lot of fun. So you can all tune into that. I believe it's going to begin 6 p.m. Pacific time. And so we are going to say goodbye, aloha, see you next year. And thank you, everyone, for my beautiful guests. This has been just perfect. And thank you for sharing this time here with all of us. And we'll see you at the end of this year on the 31st. All right. Bye-bye.
I want to say thank you for joining us today and welcome you back next Sunday as we once again are joined by a panel of subject matter experts that will explore and focus in on our fabulous lives. Until next Sunday.
All right. Wait. Okay.
I want to say thank you for joining us today and welcome you back next Sunday as we once again are joined by a panel of subject matter experts that will explore and focus in on our fabulous lives. Until next Sunday.